We are here today to talk about a 1995 film that was a direct response to a very successful 1993 mega blockbuster, Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park was written by Michael Crichton, as was the film we're about to discuss, which is none other than Congo. This is a Vinegar Syndrome Ultra brand new 4K UHD release. In this video, we're going to talk about the story behind and the story in Congo, and we're going to talk about the cast and the crew. I'm eventually going to rate, not only going to rate the movie itself, I'm also going to rate Vinegar Syndrome's presentation. Hi, I'm Dave Watkins, Watkins Films. If you just take just a moment, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my page. Now, before we get started, let's talk a little bit about Vinegar Syndrome Ultra. Now, Vinegar Syndrome Ultra typically has like a really, well, so far, they have this really nice box. The previous release, this Congo is number VSU 10, or the ninth one was Navy SEALs, which you can check out my previous video on this release. Now, just to show you a couple other of the previous ones. Now, I do have almost all of them. There's two that I didn't get so far, but there's also like was it Cloak and Dagger and Showgirl. So Vinegar Syndrome Ultra is major films from the 80s and the 90s that don't really fit into Vinegar Syndrome's rest of their catalog, which is often just kind of horror movies and action movies and things of that nature. These are kind of higher end films that they make very extravagant packaging for, as you can see here. And further into this film, we are going to unbox Congo, and I will show you all the contents within here. Congo is directed by Frank Marshall. Now, Frank Marshall is married to Kathleen Kennedy, who's also a producer on Congo. And I'm sure everyone is very familiar with Kathleen Kennedy, who she's running Disney right now. But Frank Marshall also has a huge resume of producing films, but he only has 4 films he's directed on his resume. Now, the film before this was Arachnophobia. Now, I really like Arachnophobia. Now, they really need to do a 4K release of this film. I will snag it up right away. But if you watch the beginning of Arachnophobia, and they get the spiders at the beginning, they're in some kind of rainforest, very similar to Congo, and the movie starts out there. That's where they get the spiders from. And then the spider bites who he thinks the main character, because he dies pretty early. And then the spider's shipped back in his coffin back to the main town in the film. But if you watch the beginning of Arachnophobia, it's kind of like there's a lot more of that type of scenes in Congo, and Frank Marshall does a very good job with his. I really like the way he shoots things. He has a kind of in Arachnophobia and here, which and he also did the movie Alive, but he has almost like he has a very nice depth of field when in these situations, and but he really covers like these scenery scenes very, very well with the camera. But I really like the way he handles the characters in this film, especially on camera, and I think that he does what he can with the script. I remember seeing this, the first time I saw the film was in the movie theater, and I'd read about it a little bit in Fangoria. I saw some of the scenes. I was familiar that Tim Curry was going to be in it. Bruce Campbell was also going to be in it, even though I knew that his part was going to be smaller, and it's really a cameo. In a way, he's in a few scenes at the beginning, and we'll get into that more here in just a minute. But I think upon first seeing the film, I liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. It had a nice sense of adventure to it. It's not really Jurassic Park. Now, if you look at this film cost about $50 million to make. Jurassic Park cost $63 million, but this one is. I mean, it has I guess there's more scenery, but it doesn't have quite the same effects as Jurassic Park did. Now, Jurassic Park from 1993, if you watch that film, it still holds up terrifically today. Now, there's a lot of animatronic dinosaurs in there, but they had some computer animation that just looks amazing. It's very early computer animation, but somehow they had it right, and it's very convincing. Here, you have some computer animation that's completely horrendous, and it really stood out to me the first time I saw it. Now I really like the cast in this film. I like the way it's shot. I like the sense of adventure. Some of the special effects really bothered me on the initial watch. This time, not as much. Now, there are monkeys in this, and not really monkeys. There are some monkeys, but there's mostly apes in the film, and these apes are typically played by people in costume, and they look pretty good. Stan Winston designed these costumes and a hippopotamus, and they all look pretty damn good. Now, some people might be not like the way that they look, but I thought they looked pretty cool. They look not as good as the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, but I wasn't necessarily unconvinced by them. It's definitely better than the older Tarzan type of gorillas. You know, they looked fairly amazing, really. So let's get into the story of what happens here. So the main characters, Laura Linney is top billed, Dylan Walsh is second billed, and it also has Ernie Hudson plays a major character, and Tim Curry. So it starts off in Bruce Campbell's character's out on an expedition in the Congo. He's looking for some diamonds for this company. Apparently they have some kind of laser thing they're going to shoot up into the satellites and do something with it. But it needs these big diamonds to power it for some reason. But anyway, so he's there looking for the diamonds, and something happens to him. He gets there's a gray monkey or something runs in front of the screen, and they don't know what it is. And so it comes back to this this kind of lab where they're watching the whole thing. Laura Linney's character is his ex-fiance, and she's kind of in charge back there at the office place. And his dad's the big boss, played by Joe Don Wilson from Walking Tall. But Joe Don Wilson's character is he's irate. He's like, I really need those diamonds. And she's like, what, you don't care your son's out there? And he's like, I care. But what we really need the diamonds. I mean, there's nothing we can do about that unless we get out there. And then she kind of like gives him an ultimatum. She says something like, if I get out there and this is about finding the diamonds and not caring about your son or whatever, then it's going to be a big problem for you. And they had to kind of do this. It kind of is some lame writing here with that, I think, but they had to, apparently, according to the novel, in the novel, Laura Linney's character was into the diamonds. So they had to make her not look greedy. I guess they thought they needed to, so she didn't. They wanted to make her character more likable. But they could have, I think the idea behind Joe Don Wilson's character being a prick is fine, but it's so obvious that he is to begin with. And she gives him this ultimatum, and he's already revealed that he doesn't care about the son. There's no question to me watching the scene about it, but she gives him that ultimatum, and she goes on this safari anyway that he's funding. The corporation is funding this thing. So Dylan Walsh's character and his associate, who's also helping him, they got this gorilla named Amy. And it's revealed, they show this video of this guy doing sign language, and he has a little like kind of gadget on his arm, and when he does the sign language, the thing on his arm like starts to talk for him. So that lets you know that it can talk. And so then they put it on Amy the gorilla, and she does sign language. Apparently gorillas can do sign language. I don't know if that's true or not, but in this film they can do it, and they probably can. I don't doubt it. But it makes her so she's able to talk. You're able to hear her voice through this glove. Now, I think some people who watched the movie really didn't like that aspect of it. I think they were like, it's stupid, the gorilla talks. But the gorilla's not really talking. The gorilla's doing sign language, and then the glove's like talking for her. So I never really didn't like that part, but I think a lot of haters of this film really point that out as something that they didn't like. I don't think they quite understood what was going on, even though they showed the other video. Maybe they were out in La La Land when it showed the video of the guy doing he wasn't doing that, but he was like doing sign language, and it was talking for him. So Dylan Walsh's character is similar to Laura Linney's character in the book, but they gave in the movie they make him so he's kind of his mission is to get Amy. Amy's starting to become more feral because these wild animals and eventually start to act more wild in society. And even though for a while she seemed almost human, now she's starting to get those animal instincts back, and so they got to get her back out in the jungle before something real crazy happens. But so they make Dylan Walsh's character in the movie more likable by giving him this goal. And he's not in it for himself. He's there to bring this gorilla that he loves back into the jungle. And so, and Tim Curry shows up. And Tim Curry's character is Romanian, and he doesn't reveal exactly what he's doing at first, but he's going to pay him to bring the monkey, or I keep calling him monkey, to bring the gorilla out to the rainforest, or he bring him out to the Congo. So Tim Curry's character is actually really looking for this lost city of Zinj, and he knows that this gorilla knows how to find it. So he wants the gorilla to lead him to the lost city of Zinj, and that's where the diamonds are, and that's also happens to be where Laura Linney's character is headed. So they all end up. It's all connected on purpose through this company. Now, Dylan Walsh's character is manipulated into coming along with them in different ways until they all end up in Africa, and then like some political army stuff happens, and Delroy Lindo plays a guy they have to talk to and bribe and stuff. But so there's a lot of cool adventure plot points in this film. They go there and then they deal with these army guys, and then they start on the real adventure, and then they travel to their destination. As they travel, different adventures happen in the forest or the jungle, and that's all it's really cool. And I do like the character interaction. Now, Ernie Hudson also is a major character here. He apparently was originally supposed to be the main character. They wrote the character kind of for Sean Connery to play, but he's a mercenary that they hire to help him, and he's really a badass here. And he has more of a heart than he pretends like he has at first, and he eventually he's very useful throughout the film, and he's kind of really in charge throughout, because once they get in the jungle, he's in charge because these other characters are out of their element. And but anyway, so they go through these different adventure beats, and they finally get to their destination. Now, about an hour and 10 minutes. Now, this is an hour and 48-minute film. About an hour and 10 minutes into it, they reach where the lost city of Zinj is, and it may seem a little, to me, it felt a little too early. Like they needed one more adventure, I think, before they get there. But still, it was cool though. I mean, because they really needed a lot of the time. A lot of the time happens there. Most of the horror stuff happens there because they get there and there's these. It's guarded by these gray gorillas who were originally trained by the Zinj people, but they turned on them and they started eating everybody. But they're still trying to. The gorillas are still there to protect the diamonds, and they will do it at any cost. So then they get into it, and then eventually what happens is there's a volcano in there, and the volcano starts to erupt, and that looks really awful. It's really, really bad CGI here that. And I remember seeing it the first time in the theater, and I was like, God, that looks so bad. But, I mean, the volcano needed to erupt. At the time, they probably couldn't have made it look any better than what they did, unless maybe they could have. They just had to have more money, maybe. But it doesn't look convincing. But some of the more digital, computer-animated effects in the film, they're not very convincing. But a lot of the practical stuff is very nice. So let's take a look at this Vinegar Syndrome Ultra box. Now, I really like these boxes. Very, very thick boxes. All right, so it opens up, and then you put a little ribbon in there so you can pull out. Well, so you can not really pull out, but get the movie out. Now, this has an interesting slipcover. Here you have Bruce Campbell, who's hardly in the movie, but he does make that face. Here's Tim Curry, who isn't like, he's a big, I think a lot of people, just because he's Tim Curry, they really like it that he's Tim Curry. But he's a major character, but he's not really the main character. And it's got Amy the monkey there. And here's the lost city of Zinj. That's like what it looks like when they first get there. That's kind of the temple. And on the back side, you got Laura Linney here in the control room at the beginning and seeing the monkey attacking Bruce Campbell, which isn't really revealed till later. So that's a slip, and it's a very interesting slip, even though it doesn't have really who the main characters are. But whoever drew the script really liked Tim Curry, and they really liked Bruce Campbell. So that was kind of what drew me to see the film. Well, one of the things anyway. I was pretty stoked that they were both in it. On the inside, you got what's on the outside of what was on the outside of the hard box. Okay, so and then on the inside, you have 2 discs. You have a 4K and a Blu-ray. There is a reversible slip here with the original Congo cover, and that's what it looked like. And as you can see, it didn't really stick out too good. It was all right, but it wasn't that good. Now, there is a blurb when you pop the movie in about the transfer. It says that there was some white scratches on some of the reels of the film that was present in previous releases, and they did their best to get these scratches off of the film. Now, I'll tell you, I looked really good. I even watched it again and fast forward. I could not find them in here. They did a really good job, I think. They say maybe if you put it on a really big screen, you might be able to see them, but I didn't see them. But it's nice of them to let me know that they're there, because I was like, where are they? And I was thinking too, maybe wasn't sure if this little thing on the front here, if that was like a sperm, or maybe that is one of the white scratches. That's all I could think. Or I don't know, maybe some volcanic ash. I don't know what that is. So one more thing that's in here as well is this booklet. It also comes with a very nice booklet with lots of information. It's got like pictures from the film, and it's got like several different people's stories about the movie. There's one of those gray gorillas right there, and I don't know. There he is, Tim Curry. There's lots of pictures of Tim Curry in here. Now, Tim Curry apparently is a character. He plays a character who wasn't even in the original novel. He's a character that was added, and it works really well because you got these 4 characters who have different personality types, and you really need that. You really need that dynamic between those 4 characters for this type of story to work, I think. And Tim Curry's character kind of takes away. He's there for fortune and glory. And apparently he'd been on a previous trip his character had, and everybody he was with died. So a lot of people don't like him. So it takes away that unlikability from Laura Linney's character and Dylan Walsh's character. So it takes that away, even from Ernie Hudson's character. It kind of takes that away. But it makes for a few comedic moments. I wish they would have done a little bit more with this character, developed it a little bit more. There's Dylan Walsh and Amy, the gorilla. All right, so let's rate this thing. Now I'm going to rate the film. I'm going to give it a 3.5 star rating. I do enjoy this film. I enjoyed it on this watch. It was similar to it the first time I watched it, but I do like the adventure. It is a great, if you like adventure movies, it is a great adventure movie. But if you're going into this expecting Jurassic Park or a horror movie, you're not going to get that. But it does have that great sense of adventure. You might not like some of the special effects in it, but I think it deserves a 3.5 stars. As far as Vinegar Syndrome and what they did with this release on this Ultra, I'm going to give them 4 stars. I think another thing I didn't say too about the transfer itself, it looks terrific, and I think the colors are very vivid. There's a lot of exterior day scenes, and they're very vivid. I like the way that this guy has his depth of field, and really you see a lot of detail on the characters' faces. Even though some of the special effects and when you see the special effects in there, it doesn't quite match the film quality of the movie. But the grain is nicely resolved here, and it's not distracting, but it is there, and it works to help the film. So I'm going to, again, Vinegar Syndrome did a terrific job on this. I like this. Now, something I didn't say before. Now, if you go on and you buy this off of Amazon, you're either going to end up with this only, or this only, without all this other, like the box and the booklet. In order to get that, you might be able to get it off some other sites like Diabolique.com or Orbit maybe, but in order to get it, really, you got to go to the Vinegar Syndrome site directly, and you have to make sure it's the one with the slip box, because it might not be, because you don't want to. I mean, you may be fine with this, but if you want all of this, you're going to have to get it probably from their site, or make sure that if you're getting it from another site, make sure it has all that stuff with it. Anyway, if you haven't done so already, if you go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel. I'm Dave Watkins. Thanks for watching.